Well, good Sunday morning, and thank you for watching Beyond the Headlines. Well, it's take two for the Trump administration, and President-elect Donald Trump's first moves for his new cabinet lay out his day one priorities. At the top of the list, border security. Among the very first calls Trump made was to Tom Homan, the administration's new border czar. This is Homan's second stint working for Trump, as Homan was acting director for the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency from 2017 to June of 2018. Although border czar is not an official government title, Homan is expected to oversee day-to-day operations and strategy on border security efforts. Another call Trump made in the transition period following the election was to Stephen Miller to become his deputy chief of staff for policy. Miller, a top immigration advisor, has been an advocate for a more restrictive immigration policy and is known as the architect for some of Trump's immigration proposals in his first term. Meanwhile, leading the Department of Homeland Security is Kristi Noem, the South Dakota governor, who will be tasked with leading the agency crucial to the president's immigration agenda. DHS houses important agencies like ICE and CBP, FEMA, TSA, and Secret Service, just to name a few. Now, Trump's transition into power also comes at the heels of the groundbreaking of a joint processing center in South Laredo. It's a $285 million facility which will integrate CBP and ICE enforcement. The Laredo Joint Processing Center is expected to be operational by the first few months of 2027. So that leaves us with the question, is Laredo set to take a larger role in the coming years? Here joining Luis Villarreal, General Manager of KGNS, and myself to talk about the transition between administrations is Congressman Henry Cuellar, joining us by Zoom. Good morning, Congressman Cuellar. How are you today?
Good morning to both of y'all. Good morning to both of y'all.
Good morning.
Good morning. So lots of announcements have been made over the past week or so since the election happened. What's the feeling in Congress about all of the announcements that have been made?
Well, first of all, let's keep in mind that the House did stay Republican. The Republicans do control the Senate, of course, the White House. So I think for us, we can sit down and work with them. And I've worked under times where the Republicans have controlled all three branches. So we've been able to do that. And I look forward, some of the names you mentioned, Tom Homan, Kristi, and the other folks, I know them. I've worked with them in the past. Doesn't mean that we'll agree 100%, but I think we can find some common ground on some of the immigrations, especially since I'm in the Homeland Appropriations Subcommittee.
Congressman, do all these nominations require confirmation by the Senate?
I believe, well, first of all, Tom Homan does not in that position. Kristi does because, it's a secretary cabinet. Stephen Miller doesn't. But keep in mind, on some of these issues, Trump has worked with a new Senate Republican coming in where they might do some recess appointments, which will allow him a flexibility. As you know, the Senate has never wanted to give up the power to confirm people, but if they go and recess completely both the House and the Senate, then they can look at a recess appointment. It's been done in the past, not for a long time because the Senate has guarded that power, but they might go along with the President Trump this time.
And this morning, Congressman, or late last night or this morning, we heard that Matt Gaetz, or is it Gaetz?
Mm-hmm. Gaetz.
Yeah. Gaetz is his nomination for Attorney General. Is that the nomination? Mm-hmm. That was
was under investigation himself. So,
right. So any rumblings yet?
I know Matt Gaetz also. I think he's going to be focusing on what they feel is a weaponization of the Department of Justice. And I think he will get appointed one way or the other. That is nominated probably maybe through a recess appointment. But I think this is one of Trump's most important part of it because what's happened to him. And I can understand this weaponization of the Department of Justice. I'll say that. So I know Matt Gaetz, and he'll go in, and I think he's going to clear up some of the higher level folks that he feels have weaponized the Department of Justice.
Congressman, what's your feeling on Marco Rubio as a name, a possible name for the Secretary of State?
You know, I know Marco Rubio also. One of the good things about being here for a while, you get to know folks, and I think he will be a good Secretary of State. It's important to have somebody that knows the relationships that are important across the world, and I think Marco Rubio will be a good Secretary of State.
You know, these cabinet positions or secretary positions, Congressman, you have to leave your current position. Do you think Christie is ready to step away as governor of, is it South Dakota, and Marco Rubio as well, because they're in it for possibly 4 years, and then after that, you know, it's a tough decision.
It's a tough decision that they have to make. You know, some of us, if you talk to them, you know, they have to decide whether they want to stay in the Senate for a while or governor for a while, or do they want to take a higher position? And I think once they get confirmed, then they will probably, they will give this. I don't think Trump would have made the announcement if they were not ready to give up the governorship or the Senate position on that. So, you know, again, you know, congratulations to President Trump for winning. Number two, congratulations to this nominees. I think I know literally everybody there that has been appointed, except for the Secretary of Defense. I don't think I met him, but everybody else, you know, the new CIA, be a new CIA director. You know, we lived in the same place. In fact, where I got carjacked, he used to live, and he sent me a note right away. Hey, you know, that's our neighborhood. Are you okay? And same thing with, you know, with the new National Director of Intelligence, Gab. And so all those folks, I know them. And it's an interesting because usually administration comes in and they put in a lot of new people that we don't know. But in this case, I think 90% or 95% of the people that President Trump has put in, I have a working relationship with them.
Congressman, before, if we can bring this back a little bit, you know, President Biden's still in office. What needs to happen between now and the end of the year? What is spending in Congress? Or we talked a little bit about some of these funding bills that were probably going to be put on hold. What's in store for the next few weeks for you?
Well, you know, certainly we had 3 major bills, you know, other bills also that might be put together. We have the National Defense Authorization. That one will probably pass before the year's over. That's for our military defense. We have the Farm Bill, which is so important when it comes to our farmers, or the school lunches, you know, which, you know, I've been announcing in our area. And the other one is the big one for me is the appropriations. But I think the speaker has already said that this is going to be pushed till March of 2025. And there's some Republicans who are talking about pushing it all the way up to September 30th of 2025. We don't know when exactly, but for sure it won't be decided. So this is something that, you know, a lot of us rather do this appropriations once in a year, but hey, the Republicans control. We've seen this before. They did it when President Trump won back in 2016, and they got pushed to I think, April of the following year. So we've seen this before.
Congressman, let's talk a little bit about the joint facility, the $285 million facility that was just broken ground on just last month or so. How does this new administration, how does it affect that facility? How is it going to be run as well? Any changes with that?
Yeah, well, first of all, this type of joint processing center was my language, my appropriations. Laredo was number 3 on the list after the Valley and El Paso, but somehow Laredo then became number 1. This joint processing center, if they do it right, it will work because you'll have everybody there, including immigration judges, at least by video there. So we'll have a one-stop center. It's a huge amount. We still got to talk to this administration because one of the things is there's no water and sewage heading over there. So I've talked to the city about this to see if we can work it together because they want to do some sort of process for the waste. And when you got a lot of people there, I don't like that. So I told them that we got to sit down with the city. And if they're spending $285 million, they can certainly sit down with the city and put some water lines. And the city is willing to do that. So again, I don't know how they're going to look at this, but I can tell you, under the Republicans, when President Trump was there, I was able to work with Mark Morgan and got him to work with me to put at that time, $28 million for Air Marine base at the base. Now it's like $60+ million. So Laredo's becoming, and this is what I've been working on under Homeland Appropriations, is we got a new Air Marine base. You know, we got some monies for the checkpoint in Laredo, and you know, of course, the bridges. So I want to see Laredo, be a central part to investment by Homeland. That means jobs. That means more security for our area. And so this is one of the lasting points I want to do as a member of Congress, is to make sure Laredo is as you know, it's the second lowest crossing in the whole country, but I want it to be a big part of Homeland investments.
And on that note, Congressman Quaid, I wanted to ask about the mass deportations that President-elect Trump ran on. How is that going to factor in now with the processing center as well as with his new cabinet team members?
Well, first of all, Tom Homan and the other folks, we can agree on a lot of things. There might be some things that we might not agree. Mass deportations, I can tell you, logistically, practically cannot be done. I do appropriations for ICE, and I can tell you right now, they don't have the resources. And even if we add money for them, it's going to take such a large investment, it'll be very hard to do mass deportations. Now, can we do a better job at deporting people? Yes. In fact, under the current appropriations, over some of the Democrats, they didn't want to do this, but I was able to put more money in ICE deportations, air charter planes that deport people out. And we expanded the number of detention beds. If you recall, the liberals would always complain about my support for detention centers. My response was very simple. Give me your address and I'll be happy to send some of the folks that have a criminal record on them. But I can tell you, I would tell them, let's focus, if we can't do mass deportations, because I don't think it's practical, I would focus on the bad people out there, number one. And number two, there's over 1.2 million individuals that have final deportation orders. So those people, first the criminals and then the final deportation orders, those people should be deported, because otherwise our laws don't mean anything if you have a final deportation and they ignored those orders. So there are ways that we can focus. It'll be in the millions of people, but it won't be a mass deportation. And especially if you do a mass deportation, ask the ag areas, ask other industries how that would impact them if we had a mass deportation. It would have an economic impact. So I would say target as to who you deport.
First. Okie doke. Well, on that note, Congressman Quaid, we thank you for joining us this morning, enlightening us on what's going on in Washington, and we look forward to continuing the conversation with you as these appointments take place. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you.
And when we come back from the boots on the ground, we hear from the Border Patrol Union about all these upcoming changes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Well, with the change in leadership, things will look a little different, not just in Washington, but along the border. For a county that flipped in the presidential race, Laredo's mayor says not to forget about us, telling a national audience that a border community votes in the same way other communities do.
Not too happy with the economy and immigration status at the same time. So a change that he has been promising is what Latinos wanted to hear. And remember, Latinos vote their mind. They don't vote necessarily one party or the other. So you have to understand that you can't count on the Latino vote being one party. Latinos have a mind of their own.
Well, joining us for this part of the discussion is Border Patrol Union Laredo Sector President Hector Garza, who also served on the national level as legislative director. Thank you so much, Hector, for joining us.
Thank you.
And I do want to note that you have been a very strong supporter of President-elect Trump. You were with him along the campaign trail and photographed with him, standing right there next to him. So what are your thoughts on his re-election, both the popular vote as well as the electoral vote?
Well, I think something that we saw in the country was that people were ready for a change. I think people are excited that President Trump is back. As far as the Border Patrol agents and that we represent and border security and the economy, we're very excited because I think we're finally going to be focusing on the issues that matter to our agents and to this country. That means securing the border, stopping dangerous drugs, and stopping dangerous criminals from coming across the border as freely as they were under this Biden administration.
Let me ask you, as the union president, Hector, did you just feel that you just weren't being heard or supported? What is it about the Border Patrol that led you to supporting Trump once again?
Well, so there's a lot of factors involved in us supporting President Trump. If you remember, our local union actually invited President Trump to Laredo back in 2015. Back then, it was not popular to be talking to President Trump. But since then, our Border Patrol union has actually built a very close relationship with President Trump. Once he became president during his first term, he maintained a very close relationship with the Border Patrol union. And a lot of his ideas on the border regarding the wall and the fencing and a lot of those great things and the policies, ending catch and release, those were a lot of the recommendations that the Border Patrol Union gave President Trump. So now we're super excited again. We've continued that relationship with him. Right now there's very important meetings happening with the Border Patrol Union and President Trump. So we're excited to what's coming. And I think at the end of the day, the ones that are going to benefit is the American public. Our local communities are going to benefit because we're going to be having a more secure border. This administration that we had under Biden, clearly they came in and they destroyed the great work that President Trump and all the work that all the Border Patrol agents had done in the past 4 years under President Trump. If you remember, we were seeing the migrant caravans coming across the border. We were seeing that catch and release was out of control. But then President Trump was able to secure the border, and those numbers came to historic lows. We hope now that under Trump the same thing happens all over again.
Speaking of those measures, what are those immediate things that you've just mentioned that, could be implemented, day one with an executive order of some sort? Is the
Like the mass deportations?
What kind of actions can be taken that can affect everything you're talking about?
So there's different things that President Trump kept talking about in the campaign trail and different things that he talked about to the Border Patrol Union. You have to look at two different items. One of them is the mass deportations that he's talking about. Those are the people that are already in the country illegally, people that have been ordered deported. Those are illegal aliens that are in the country illegally, that might have very serious criminal records, that might be part of dangerous gangs from Central America and South America. I think that's going to be the main focus. However, the other piece of the conversation is border security, is stopping people from coming into the border illegally. That's where we're going to be talking about the Remain in Mexico policy. That's where we're going to be talking about stopping the abuse of the asylum process. So I think now that the Republicans control the House and the Senate, I think there's going to be some major reforms when it comes to the asylum-seeking process. I think there was some good progress done last Congress where they were trying to change the standard of credible fear. That way it wasn't as easy for these migrants to abuse the asylum process. For those of you that don't know, most asylum seekers are not granted asylum. About maybe 12 to 18% of the migrants that apply for asylum actually are granted asylum. And most of those people are people that are coming from China or from some of these other countries where they are under very difficult situations. Most of the migrants that are seeking asylum under Biden, they were coming to the U.S. because they were trying to seek a better life, better work, better education. That does not qualify for asylum. So I think under this new administration, I think we're going to be seeing major changes in that regard.
What are your feelings on some of the appointments that have been announced this last week or since the election? You know, folks who have been advocates for tougher border security, but don't really they're not part of that elite group of inner politicians. You know, we're hearing some newbies per se. Can you work under these folks?
Well, there's a lot of appointments that have been announced under the Trump administration. I think one of the most significant appointments that are important for Border Patrol agents is that of the Department of Homeland Security, Governor Noem. What's really good about Governor Noem is that she's been very supportive of border security efforts. She actually went to McAllen. She's gone to Del Rio to visit Shelby Park. And something that a lot of people might not know about Governor Noem is that she actually sent the South Dakota National Guard to the border to help Governor Abbott. She even sent an engineering unit to be able to help with the fencing that Governor Abbott was trying to build. So if you look at Governor Noem, she's been involved in the border security conversation. She's already shown that she's supportive. So we're excited about that. But I think we're most excited with Tom Homan. Tom Homan started his career as a Border Patrol agent. We know him very well. He's, again, another friend of the union that we've known for many years. He's always been supportive of agents. He's been supportive of ICE agents. So we're very excited, and we can definitely work with Governor Noem, and we can definitely work with Tom Homan. Now the appointment that we're looking forward to now is the CBP commissioner, and we also want to know what's going to happen with our Border Patrol chief nationwide, right? Because all of those things change. We saw that when Biden came in and his administration, he made some quick changes to that. So those are the appointments that I think we're looking at. And most of the other appointments, I don't think they affect us directly as Border Patrol agents, but they're definitely interesting, and I think President Trump should be giving an opportunity to select his cabinet, and I think this is his second go-around, and I think things are going to be done a lot better than the first term.
Okay. Just one last question. What is your role in the Trump administration? How are you going to continue the conversations?
What's your future?
Well, my future continues with the Border Patrol. I've been a Border Patrol agent for 24 years. I'm going to continue doing that work. I love representing the men and women in green as a union representative. My goals are to continue working with the Border Patrol Council. I think my job as a legislative director is very significant. As you guys saw last year, we passed some major legislation to bring additional pay for Border Patrol agents. We're going to continue on that. We know that President Trump has talked about bringing a 10% pay increase for agents, a $10,000 retention bonus, bringing additional Border Patrol agents. So my job is going to be to make sure that the president's goals and whatever he's trying to accomplish is that we also reciprocate that on the Hill with our members of Congress. That's going to be my job for the next several years.
Okie doke. Well, for the next several years, Hector, join us on the show so we can continue the conversation.
To talk about this, see the progress.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much.
Exactly. Appreciate having you with us. Thank you so much, Hector. And stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Well, there is just two of us, but we both have a one thing. Just wanted to mention Sergio wasn't able to join us. He is out for the weekend.
He's still in mourning.
Yeah, it's in mourning after the election. But what is that one thing that you can't stop thinking about?
Well, Mindy, I was, and this is not something new, but I was doing some surfing, and I remembered all of these one-hit wonders of songs that that we've heard.
Yeah.
Remember "Whip It"?
I remember "Whip It." I was actually looking at your list, and yeah, you're right. For the most part,
99
Love Balloons. Yeah, we have not heard from these folks since then.
They just kind of disappeared. This one, "Take on Me," remember?
Oh, that was and that was a great video too, the cartoon video. Yeah, he comes alive at the end. Oh, Vanilla
Ice, baby.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know these guys. I'm too sexy. I'm too sexy.
Some good songs there, definitely.
One-hit wonders.
One-hit wonders. Okay, well, I'm Too Sexy goes to
your
one thing, which is the sexiest man alive right there, John Krasinski. And there's this big debate in our newsroom whether he is indeed the sexiest man alive, because some of us are not on Team Krasinski, which I have to admit I am not. And then there's some that are on Team Krasinski. And I just feel feel like I can't
He's got
separate
great
him
hair.
from the comedy from The Office that he played.
You need to
but
talk. You need to see him in Jack Ryan. Maybe it'll change your mind.
That's what folks are saying. You need to see him in a serious role so that you could see that side of him. But okay, so Sexiest Man Alive. That does it for us in this episode of Beyond the Headlines. But thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next Sunday for another episode. Have a fantastic week ahead.